Hello and welcome back to Automatic Reviews, or to new viewers, welcome to the channel. I'm Mark, and if you're like me, you think about watches way too much. When I look at watches, I think to myself, they must be tired because they've been running through my mind all day long. Am I right? Please do not leave. In fact, I hope you'll subscribe and become part of my ever-growing army of R-holes. Okay, I'm still workshopping that subscriber name. These things take time, folks. Alcoholics? No, just no. Okay, let's do a quick wrist check. Today I am wearing the lovely Tudor Pelagos LHD. Look forward to a review in the near future featuring this very, very cool watch. I absolutely love it. But that's a spoiler. I'll get to that in the review. I should mention before we go any further that today's video has not been sponsored, but a review unit was loaned to me for the production of this video. However, as always, regardless of whether or not the content of the video is sponsored or not, my opinion is not for sale. Honesty and transparency is my highest priority. You deserve absolutely no less. Before we take a very close look at today's watch, the Marinor from Heron Watches, let's talk very briefly about Heron Watches. Heron is a Canadian microbrand based in Montreal, started in 2021 by watch enthusiast Adam and his designer friend Nathan. Their goal is to capture the neo-vintage aesthetics of their hometown and eventually become the first name that comes to mind when you think of Canadian watch brands. Ambitious indeed. Shots fired, Marathon. So what about today's watch, the Marinor? Let's get this out of the way. This is not a trailblazing watch. In fact, it's based on a design you'll be very familiar with. It's a 50 fathoms homage. So if it isn't a trailblazing watch, what is it? Why should you care about the Heron Marinor? What's important here? There are really 6 standards to determining if this is the right purchase to make. Build quality, comfort, reliability, warranty, price, and style. How does this watch stack up in these categories? Let's take a look. Just a quick look at the unboxing experience. There's an outer box, a warranty card, a small pouch containing a screwdriver to perform the bracelet adjustment, and a synthetic leather watch box with a button closure. It's a good first impression. This watch is 39 millimeters wide with a thickness of 11.3 millimeters or 12.9 millimeters when you factor in the box sapphire crystal. It has a lug-to-lug of 47 millimeters and a lug width of 20 millimeters. It also features an etched crown. The mostly brushed case features a solid screw-down case back, and both the case and bracelet are made of a super high-tech hardened 316L stainless steel. More on that later. The watch has applied indices on its Caribbean blue dial, which has a slight fume effect toward the edges, including a very unusual North Star 12 o'clock marker. There's a printed logo as well as sword and arrow handset. Both the crystal and lume bezel are made from sapphire. The crystal has a colorless AR coating applied. Here's a quick look at the lume shot, showing off the pale blue lume. The watch has a Miyota 9039 movement and therefore a 42-hour power reserve. The movement operates at 28,800 beats per hour. It also, of course, hacks and handwinds. The watch features a substantial 300 meters of water resistance. The all-brushed, vintage-inspired bracelet features female end links and is adjusted with a screw-based system. The signed, push-button clasp features a polished bevel on either side and an on-the-fly micro-adjustment. Here it is sized to my 7-inch flat profile wrist. With this bracelet adjustment, it weighs in at 136 grams. Now let's talk a bit about the lows of this watch, the things I didn't love. This piece has minor chipping on one side of the minute hand. It looks huge under the macro lens, but it's essentially invisible to the naked eye, even one as picky as mine. As a macro guy, this can't be anything but a low, but overall this piece fares well under the macro lens. I reached out to Heron for clarification, and they assured me that this unit is one of their personal prototypes, and shipping units will have no such flaws. But there is one here, so full transparency. The simplest way to describe this lume is that it's just not that bright. It's not the worst lume I've seen, but it's also not anywhere near the top of the heap. The upside is that the bezel is lumed, and that is a very good thing. Again, I reached out and Heron assured me that the lume is expected to be brighter on the pre-orders, which are shipping in December, so it's still a low here, but it sounds like it might have already been resolved. That's all for the lows. Not too many here with this piece. And now onto the mids. There are things I didn't love or hate, but are worthy of note. And they should be mentioned, and that's what I call the mids. This watch has a very cool vintage aesthetic, and that's on full display here with the bracelet. However, as a consequence, the bracelet isn't overly chamfered or smoothed out. Some might complain it's a tad sharp at the edge of the corners where the bracelet articulates. I generally find such complaints are overblown, and it's definitely quite wearable. In my opinion, it's not more of a hard edge than you'd find on a similarly vintage-inspired Tissot PRX, for example, which is beloved and nearly universally praised, but your mileage may vary. That's it for the mids. It's on to the highs. I think at a 39mm case size and a 47mm lug-to-lug, this diver will suit almost all wrist sizes, and with a manageable thickness and the universally beloved 20mm lug width, I doubt you'll find many with much to complain about as far as strap compatibility is concerned. Sizing this bracelet literally took 2 minutes, and the sizing system reminded me a lot of the one found on my Tudor Pelagos, and that is high praise indeed. I was told that the hardening process used on this watch takes it from a standard Vickers hardness of about 120 to 180 for a run-of-the-mill 316L stainless steel, all the way up to 1200 on the Vickers scale. Adam at Heron insisted I test its limits, which freaked me out a little, as I would never intentionally damage a watch. But boy, does it ever work. Very, very impressive stuff. Just look at all those Vickers vickering. Even at this price point, we've come to expect sapphire components, and the Marinor delivers on that, which reassures us about its scratch resistance, but it does it with a little extra something. I own other box sapphire crystal watches, and this one stands out as having an exceptionally beautiful curved piece, which never fails to provide some interesting vintagey distortion around the edges of the dial. Notably, the AR here appears to be of the colorless variety. There's a trick here, though. Think back to that neo-vintage philosophy. Neo is here in the material and capability, but vintage is represented in the almost Hesalite-like presentation. There's a strong design philosophy on display here. Both the bezel and crown have pretty premium feeling knurling with just enough grip, while still not being sharp. The bezel click and alignment gets a thumbs up here also. This one is simple. I prefer no-date watches. No date messing with the symmetry of the dial, no date to worry about when keeping the watch in regular rotation and letting it run out of power, and no date complication to serve as a point of failure for the movement in the future because you may or may not have accidentally set the watch between the hours of 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. No date is almost always my preference, which, by the way, worked out great in high school. Ba-dum-bump. I'm here all night, folks. This is subjective, but to me, this colorway is an absolutely stunning shade of blue. It's the kind of color that looks different, but equally attractive no matter the lighting. But you're not out of luck if you don't like this one. The website features a few other attractive colorways, if perhaps not as entrancing as this lovely blue to my eye. It's just a matter of what you prefer. Something about the name and image of the Heron is pleasant to me, and I very much love that this brand doesn't have me twisting myself in knots trying to convince me its overly complicated branding is something I can overlook. In this case, it's quite the opposite. I find it rather simple and pleasing in regards to both name and logo. Another positive for me, but I'm probably biased, is the fact that Heron is a Canadian microbrand, and as a fellow Canadian, I like the idea of supporting businesses within Canada and growing a stronger watch culture here. Yes, at $620 US or 850 Canadian, this is a little more pricey than some microbrands offering you Japanese movements. But in my opinion, this watch brings a lot to the table that others don't. The components here were considered carefully, no feature was overlooked, and some elements, like the hardened steel, are rare even among premium brands. So what's my conclusion? Let's go back to our 6 standards we talked about at the front. Build quality, that's making a strong showing here. Comfort, throw this watch on anytime and go. It wears really, really well. Reliability, the Miyota 9039 promises that, as does the exceptionally durable steel used to craft the case and the bracelet. As for warranty, you've got 2 years with Heron watches. The price? For what you're getting here, it's an exceptional value at 850 Canadian dollars. Now, for style, in my opinion, this watch is a bit of a stunner. Yes, it's a Blancpain homage, but the color here is gorgeous, and this is a pretty refined watch for this category. I started off this review saying that this isn't a trailblazing watch, and it isn't. What this watch is, however, is a watch you can wear while you blaze your own trail. A reliable piece that you can wear with confidence and with pride as you go out in the world and get stuff done. This just might be one of the toughest watches on the market in terms of the exterior at least. All sapphire and hardened steel. Short of falling down a diamond mine, watch first, I'm not sure it can be scratched. It's a great watch for a watch person like me who acknowledges that sometimes your high-end pieces are going to stay in the watch box, but that doesn't mean you have to rip up your watch credentials and wear something overly practical or boring. This watch is still a pretty premium feeling experience, but at a price that will let you throw it on anytime, especially considering how incredibly tough its construction is. This isn't what you picture when you think of a beater watch. It's more upscale than that, more refined. Is there such thing as a beautiful beater? This just might be it. To me, this is the perfect Father's Day gift watch or couple's gift piece. But it's also a strong contender as a value enthusiast purchase for a collector. The folks at Heron are clearly showing off their understanding of the market here, checking all the boxes we watch nerds need checked, and even going beyond. You'll make up your own mind, but for a diver in this price range, this Heron Marinor seems to be the start of something really interesting. It's very good in its current iteration, but I also can't wait to see what's in store for this model and this brand in the future. As for me, I've truly found myself genuinely liking this watch. I really wore it for a week, like I would have one of my own watches, and with each day, my affection for it just continued to grow. That is a very, very good sign. But what about you? Is it for you? Let me know in the comments and give me a like and subscribe while you're down there. Check out the description below for a link to the official Automatic Reviews Instagram, which you should absolutely follow for vital updates on whatever I feel like posting about. As for any business inquiries, or if you'd like to see your brand's watch featured on my channel, please contact me via Instagram DM. Also below are any other important links, such as those that can help you find Heron watches, and a link to Derelict, the very talented creator of my theme song. So that's it. That's all. Take care, and until next time, I'll be watching for you in the comments. Bye-bye.